Well, hey, welcome everybody from Team 789. We're here doing our fifth PowerPoint in the unit. Today we're doing the Odyssey, the epic poem by Homer. And as you see, I have made the epic poem words a hyperlink to a short 7-minute synopsis video and kind of go over the story of the Odyssey with you. But I'll do my best. Okay, so here we go. Here's our learning targets. We're on learning target 3 now, describing how the works of Homer influenced on Greek culture. Okay, here's a map of the Mediterranean. We see the different islands. We see Numidia on the left there. We see the boot of Italy by Calypso. We see Mount Olympus. We see the Aegean Sea, the Ionian Sea, the Tyrrhenian Sea. So I get a little bit Troy on the far east over there. Okay, let's move on. Okay, 10 years have passed since the fall of Troy, and the Greek hero Odysseus still has not returned to his kingdom in Ithaca. A large and rowdy mob of suitors who have overrun Odysseus's palace and pillaged his land. They continue to court his wife, Penelope, even though she has remained faithful to Odysseus. Prince Telemachus, Odysseus' son, wants desperately to throw them out, but does not have the confidence or experience to fight them. One of the suitors, Antinous, plans to kill the young prince. We see they're trying to court his wife, Penelope. Unknown to the suitors, Odysseus is still alive. The beautiful nymph Calypso, possessed by love for him, has imprisoned him on her island for 7 years. He longs to return to his wife and son, but he has no ship or crew to help him escape. On Mount Olympus, Zeus sends Hermes to rescue Odysseus from Calypso. Hermes persuades Calypso to let Odysseus build a ship and leave. The homesick hero sets sail, but when Poseidon, the god of the sea, finds him sailing home, he sends a storm to wreck Odysseus' ship, as you see in the bottom image. Poseidon has harbored a bitter grudge against Odysseus since the hero blinded his son, the Cyclops Polyphemus, earlier in his travels. Athena intervenes to save Odysseus from Poseidon's wrath, and he lands in King Alcinous's kingdom. Odysseus receives a warm welcome from the king and queen. When he identifies himself as Odysseus, King Alcinous, who has heard of his exploits in Troy, is stunned. They promise to give Odysseus some treasure and a ship to sail back to Ithaca. But first, they beg to hear the story of his adventures. And pardon for the interruption. At this point, the story begins to jump back in time. It's not chronological. We see the storm. Odysseus spends the night describing the fantastic chain of events leading up to his arrival on Calypso's island. He recounts his trip to the land of lotus eaters, where women feed Odysseus and his man fruit that was drugged to make them forget their homes and their families. So they're drugged. Next is Odysseus' battle with Polyphemus, the Cyclops. The Cyclops trapped Odysseus and his men in a cave and started eating them one by one. Odysseus came up with a plan to stab the Cyclops in the eye to escape. As you see, the giant Cyclops, he's stabbing him in the eye. While this blinded Cyclops, they still needed to sneak out of the cave. So when the Cyclops opened the cave to let his sheep out, filling each other to make sure he was not Odysseus or his men, Odysseus and his men hid underneath the sheep as they walked out of the cave. So as you see in the picture, they're hiding under the sheep. Odysseus had another adventure with the king of the giants named King Lamus. King Lamus and his men are cannibals and eat many of Odysseus' men. Odysseus escapes with help. Odysseus had many help him along the way, including Calliope and King Aeolus. Calliope, a leader of women, came to his rescue once, as well as King Aeolus, who gave him a bag of wind to help him sail, as you see in the photos. Next, Odysseus tells about his love affair with the witch goddess Circe. Circe is in love with Odysseus and is mad when he refuses her. She turns all of his men into pigs. Eventually, she turns the pigmen back into men, and Odysseus stays with Circe for 1 year as her friend. Sorry for the interruption. Here she is turning the men into pigs. The next part of Odysseus' journey is his temptation by the deadly Sirens. The Sirens, who were said to be beautiful bird women, who sang songs to enchant sailors and then would eat them. Odysseus wanted to hear their song, so he had his men tie him to the mast of the ship and then plug their own ears so they could not hear the Sirens' song. Next, he tells about his journey into Hades to consult the prophet Tiresias about how to get his ship back to Ithaca safely. Hades has got the underworld on the left. Tiresias is on the right. While in Hades, Odysseus runs into many of the men he knew in the Trojan War, like Achilles, and many of the men who died from his crew earlier in the story. Finally, Odysseus tells King Alcinous about his fight with the sea monster Scylla and the whirlpool Cardamys. When he finishes his story, King Alcinous gives Odysseus the promised treasure and ship to sail back to Ithaca. When Odysseus gets there, he dresses up like a beggar and competes in the archery contest to win his wife Penelope back and keep her from marrying another man. He wins the contest, and then he and his son Telemachus kill the men who were after his wife Penelope. That is Odysseus and his son in the photo. Hope you had a good score today, guys. We appreciate you listening and appreciate you working and completing your ed puzzles and your assignments. Keep up the hard work. All of us on Team 7, 8, and 9, Mr. Lockett, Miss Carol, and myself, we're all so proud of you and your hard work. So keep showing us how awesome you are and keep making us proud, guys. Good luck.